Hi. In this particular video, we look at two lookup functions. One is VLOOKUP, which is vertical lookup, and the other is HLOOKUP, which is horizontal lookup. Now, VLOOKUP is used to search a particular value in a table and then return data corresponding to that particular value from another column. Now, the syntax for VLOOKUP is equal to, we call up the VLOOKUP function. Now, this is the value which we are looking for. This is the table array or the other table where we want to find this particular value. We will want a specific column. So that is what we are going to specify over here. And range lookup, so this is optional. It has two values. True is for approximate and false, which is default value for exact match of the value we are searching for in a table. This will be clearer with an example. Now in this table, this is my lookup table and I've got gearbox, engine steering, ignition, CY head. I've got three car manufacturers over here. Now in this particular table, I've got the maker and I've got the corresponding spare parts. And what I want is I want the cost. So for Mercedes ignition, I want the cost from this particular table. Now you can see that Mercedes ignition over here is 250, right? So using VLOOKUP, all I've done is I've used VLOOKUP. Now just let me scroll a bit up so that you can also see the syntax. Let me just hide this. Right. So now if you look at the VLOOKUP function, now B32 is ignition and this is my lookup value. So basically I'm looking for ignition. The next I look at is A25 to B29. So I'm looking at this particular table. Now in this particular table, I'm looking at ignition. And why I'm looking at this table? Because I want ignition cost for Mercedes. If I had wanted ignition cost for BMW, my table array would have been this. Now because I'm looking at ignition cost for Mercedes, in my table A to B, which is A25 to B29, my costs are in the second column. So that is why my column index is 2. So in the case if I wanted BMW ignition, the cost would have been in the third column. So in that case, my column index num would have been 3. But over here, because we are looking at Mercedes cost and the table is from A25 to B29, it just has 2 columns. And the last is false to get an exact match. Now let's look at another example. This is on BMW gearbox. Now BMW gearbox, my lookup value is gearbox, which is in my B33, and my table array would be this particular selection. Now over here, BMW values are in the third column. So that is why my column index num would be 3. And false again is for exact match. Let's look at one last example. Now this is for Audi engine 5200 pounds, right? Now Audi is in the fourth table. So this entire thing is going to be my table array over here. And my engine cost over here for Audi is 5200 pounds. So how I'm going about this is VLOOKUP B34, which is engine. And then I'm looking at my table array, which is this entire list of cells. And I'm passing on column index num as 4 because the fourth column in this particular table consists of the costs for Audi. And because I'm looking for Audi engine cost over here, that is why my column index num would be 4. And lastly, I'm passing as false because I want an exact match. Now this is another example. I've got table 1, which has cost of some of the items. Table 2, this is again the sales price of these items itself. Table 3 over here consists of these items and it consists of the units sold. Now for identifying the cost, what I will do is, because I want the pen cost and the cost is in this particular table, I will do a VLOOKUP. I'm going to search for pen, which is A54 cell. And then this is going to be my table array, which is from A47 to B50. Now, because the costs are in the second column, it would be comma 2 and then false for exact match. Similarly, the same thing is going to be for pencil cost, notepad, ink. Now for eraser, this is hash NA, and this is because the cost table or the sales price table do not consist of eraser. So that is why we are getting a hash NA over here. Similarly, for sales price, I will refer to table 2. Again, if you look at the formula, I'm looking for pen in this particular table, which is my table array. It starts from D47 to E50. And basically, because my sales price are in the second column, my column num index is 2 and then false for exact match again. And then it's just doing some more data manipulation. So total profit is basically number of units sold into the difference between sales price and cost. So I've got some exercises over here for you. So if you go through them, you'll have a better understanding of VLOOKUP. Now let's move on to HLOOKUP. HLOOKUP is very similar to VLOOKUP, just that VLOOKUP over here looks at the vertical aspect, whereas the HLOOKUP would be looking at the horizontal aspect. Let's see how this works. So again, the syntax is going to be very similar. HLOOKUP, lookup value, table array, row index num. Now because in VLOOKUP we were looking at the vertical aspect, we were looking at the column index num. But because in HLOOKUP we are looking at the horizontal aspect, we would be considering row index num. Then again, range lookup, this has two values, true or false, false for exact matches. Now I've got one table over here which consists of some commission for car type. We've got car type as Mercedes, BMW, Audi, VW, Ferrari, and I've got the corresponding commission cost. Now this is the name of the employees who sold these cars, and for each and every car they sell, they'll get a commission. So now if I want to find out the commission which Ben earned for selling a Mercedes, I would use an HLOOKUP function. So I'm looking for Mercedes. This particular table is my table array. Now in this particular table, my commissions are in the second row. So that is why my row index would be 2 and then false is for an exact match. Let's look at Ken and BMW. Now value of BMW is in cell B35, which is my lookup value. Again, my table array is going to remain the same. It's going to start from B25 to F26, and the row which consists of the commission is in the second row of this particular table. So that is why comma 2 and then false for exact matches. Now, one thing which you may have noticed over here is this dollar sign. After the VBA module, we have a couple of videos which explain this dollar sign. This dollar sign is basically related to locking of a cell. And once you go through that video, it would be very clear for you. But as of now, whenever you are doing a VLOOKUP function, make sure that you've got these dollar signs. You'll get them by going to the range and pressing F4. So if I press F4 now, the dollar sign, one of the dollar signs removes. Now corresponding to the row number removed. Now the dollar sign altogether, the column and the row number have removed, and now I've got the dollar signs for both of them. So basically this is called locking of cells, and once you look at that video, you will be very clear about what I'm referring to. Now in the next video, we look at some of the math functions. Thank you.